8 more weeks of the wage subsidy is not enough for one of the country's largest tour operators to stay afloat. Pan Pacific Travel's Managing Director is Matt Brady, and he joins me now. Thanks for being with us this evening, Matt. Give us your description of the budget.
I'm devastated. Absolutely devastated. Underwhelmed. To be honest, it's a crock. It's an absolute crock. We've been told that the tourism industry has been listened to and that it's been taken on board. I've yet to know any individual person that has spoken with the Minister of Tourism, despite him claiming to have spoken to so many people. We were very clear on what we needed. You know, the borders have been potentially closed to international visitors for a very, very long time. Now, let's define that. A lot of us are looking at that as being 12 months. We were very clear to say that if we were to see the recovery, long-term recovery of tourism, we needed certainty. And we were looking at saying if you extend the wage subsidy to cover the core staff, the key staff, for the duration of the closure, we would have probably applauded that. We'd be given an 8-week extension.
So what is that, a short reprieve in essence?
At best. Well, in fact, for a lot of people, consider it a 4-week extension. And the reason I say that is that the hotel sector and the industry were desperately saying to the minister just last week or the week before, give us some sort of indication what's happening, give us a bit of a lifeline, but got told to wait to the date. Now, that was too late for thousands of people because a lot of people, particularly in the hotel sector, have had to give their staff 4 weeks redundancy notice. So guess what they did? They gave them 4 weeks redundancy notice last week. Because otherwise the wage extension.
So for this wage subsidy to make any difference to you, you're telling me that you need it to last as long as the border is shut? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's
Without
an enormous amount
subsidy,
of money, Matt.
It is. But look at the impact of tourism to New Zealand. Over $17 billion. 400,000 people directly or indirectly employed by the tourism industry. Now, at the moment, we're being sort of told we've got this wonderful $400 million package, which I note with interest that recently Racing, who somehow managed to be given a bit of a lifeline before the announcement of the budget, have been given $72 million. I think at best they're claiming $1.6 billion. So $72 million. Tourism, you know, $17 billion gets $400 million. And most of that will be sent on a task force telling the sector how they can actually pivot themselves to actually be get into the domestic or trans-Tasman.
So
that's like telling the kiwi fruit authority to start pivoting into growing broccoli.
Yeah, so
there's no comparison.
There is this campaign that is coming, which is obviously targeted at the domestic audience. How much is that going to mean to you? Well,
to the majority of the inbound industry, it will mean absolutely nothing because we're not involved in it. But let's put things into perspective. We, as domestic travellers, tend to fill from the bottom up. And I say we because I'm like every single one of the others. You know, we'll go away somewhere and we'll stay with friends or relatives, or we'll put 12 of us in a batch or a tent at the back somewhere. We might go in if we're really forced to. We'll get into the motels, we'll get into the camping grounds. Hotels, by and large, have very little domestic leisure business. One hotelier said to me, you know, at the end of the day, Matt, if I'm relying on the domestic market, I would be better in the morning to fill up a bucket of cash, open the front door quickly, throw that bucket of cash out and slam the door shut again. That's how much it's going to get out of it. Most of the big major hotels, sightseeing, major attractions, you must ask the question, why has an entity such as Ngāi Skyline, the Heritage Hotel in Hamner Springs is completely closed. They won't reopen. And the reason is because they know that without a good balance and mix of the international market, they simply can't survive.
What are you going
Our
to do
good
about
friend-
this? What are you going to do about this, Matt? And you're
All-
talking really about what you see as an absentee minister. So what are you going to do about that?
Oh, look, at the end of the day, I've got to be brutally frank. At the moment, there's a bit of a groundswell amongst the industry to say we need a petition to say, in the biggest crisis of our industry's history, we have no confidence in the current Minister of Tourism. Now, everybody who knows me will know how difficult that is for me to say that. I'm very apolitical. I'm very much a person that prefers to take a very diplomatic line, but I'm just absolutely devastated. And so I'm sorry I have to say this. Right now, the best thing that could do for us is we've got a Prime Minister who is covered by the global press. We're going into recovery mode. Here's a brilliant opportunity for our PM to actually step up, take over the role of Minister of Tourism and lead from the front, because right now the industry is feeling a complete and utter lack of support.
I appreciate your time this evening. That is Matt Brady, who's from Pan Pacific Travel.